Hello folks, and welcome to another edition of the Dr. Mark Foster Show. This broadcast will be relatively brief, especially compared to the last one, which went over an hour. Today I will talk about something which is called the Echoes of Unity model. It's something which I developed about a year ago, and in a sense it's a secularized version of the Unicentric Paradigm. The Unicentric Paradigm is the latest stage in my understanding of reality or ontology, existence, as it is explained in the Bahá'í texts, again, according to my understanding. It began back in the early 1970s, 1971, as I began to study the materials of Marian Christ Lippet, the late Marian Christ Lippet, under the guidance of my spiritual mother, Elizabeth Thomas, and also I was studying the writings of Henry A. Weil, again under Elizabeth's guidance. And I've tried several times over the years to come up with non-Bahá'í approaches to that unicentric paradigm. I've made several shots at it, and the one that I have right now I think is perhaps workable, but I will leave that to you to make a decision about. I will provide a link to the online book that this is taken from in the area right below the video screen above the comments section. Please feel free to leave any remarks that you like. As long as you are polite, I will respond to whatever you say. I'm certainly willing to engage in a dialogue with anyone. Basically, the Echoes of Unity, as I call it, the secularized version or the non-Bahá'í version of the Unicentric Paradigm, is a very simple kind of thing, and it probably would be better if you would open up that book, the link which is below the screen, and then just click on under the table of contents, which is right on that toward the top. Just click on the link that says Echoes of Unity, and that will take you right to it. That way you can look at it as I'm describing it. I'll read you what I've written directly above it, and then briefly talk about and explain what those different levels are referring to. Echoes of Unity, which is a simplification of the Unicentric Paradigm, reflects my personal understandings of spiritual reality, ontology, according to the Bahá'í Faith. As I see it, the goal of the echoing practice, and I will discuss the echoing practice in future broadcasts, and the purpose of life in general, is to acquire virtuousness or nobility. The condition of virtues is contained in the model below. Hopefully, regardless of your own views, you will find the brief outline to be interesting and informative. For more detailed information, you can read this free online book. That link will take you to the Unicentric model book, and that has much more detail than what is here. But that book is primarily written for members of the Bahá'í Faith, or at least people who are somewhat familiar with the teachings of the Bahá'í Faith. This is not. This is a non-Bahá'í, secular, I guess you could say, watered-down version of the Unicentric Paradigm. So, as you see, I've written there below, directly above the model, Echoes of Unity directly below is a model of unity, or non-duality, in diversity, or duality. And I think that is what you should see here, if you look at it, that I am talking about unity, the unity of God as well as other unities, the unity of humanity, the unity of religion, and so forth. and diversity, which refers to the individualization of the attributes of those unities. So, for example, we can talk about the unity of religion in a general sense, but then we can say perhaps that the Bahá'í Faith is an individualized form of the unity of religion. Christianity, likewise, an individualized form of the unity of religion. If we talk about the unity of humanity in a very general sense, we can say that you are an individualized form or set of attributes of the unity of humanity, and so am I. That's basically what I mean by that. So the first item in this Echoes of Unity model is God, and what I wrote here is all the prophets and all created beings and things are united through God. God, from a Bahá'í perspective, is an unknowable essence. I don't get into that in this particular model, but that's basically what I'm referring to, the absolute unity of unities, the innermost essence of all essences, the central pivot of all existence, the absolute creator and the source of existence. So all the prophets and all created beings and things are united through that great God, that cosmic envelope. Now, directly below God is angelhood. Angelhood, by angelhood I'm referring to the levels of spirituality or paradise. Angelhood is also a rough translation of the Arabic word malakut, which is really originally from the Hebrew, adopted into Arabic, so really it's a kind of Arabized Hebrew, I suppose. But malakut is literally translated as angels. It is also commonly translated in the Bahá'í teachings as the kingdom, or the spiritual kingdom, or the divine kingdom. But literally it's angels, and angels refer to, as I see it, anyone. You, I, the prophets, anybody who is a messenger with a small m, or a messenger with a capital M of God. Anybody who works to benefit the cause of God. In effect, an apostle, but an apostle in a very general sense, not in the sense of a messenger necessarily, although it can be, but a messenger in a very broad sense that would apply to anybody who turns their heart over to the Beloved. The angelhood could also refer to qualities, to attributes, to confirmations that we receive. If we are of service to the will of God, then God may confirm us, and we receive blessings from that. That's also an extension of angelhood. And I have 4 or 5 different levels below that, and I will explain what they are. Prophethood, which I already discussed to an extent. This is referring to beings like Moses, like Krishna, like Gautama Buddha, like Jesus, like Muhammad, like the Bab and Baha'u'llah, the twin manifestations and the twin founders of the Bahá'í Faith. These are special beings. They're not like you or I from a Bahá'í perspective. They are divinities. They don't channel God. There's no channeling. When they reveal, to my understanding, they are revealing themselves. They are speaking their own heart. They are expressing their own attributes. Just as you and I are individualizations of the unity of humanity, the prophets are individualizations of the unity of the prophets, or prophethood in a more general sense. So that's what the prophets are as I see it. The prophets are divine beings. They are a separate class of existence. They have a human side, like Jesus has a human side, but they also have a divine side. They are not God the essence, but they do share in the unity of God. In other words, the unity of God is expressed with the prophets as the unity of the prophets. For that reason, the prophets can speak for God and can express God's will. If they were not identified with the divine unity or God, they would not be able to do that. Okay, below prophethood is servitude. Servitude is, from a Baha'i perspective, the highest condition or station that anyone can achieve in this life, being a servant, or in Arabic the word abd. Abd can be translated servant, it can also be translated slave, but in the way in which slave is commonly used in English, that would not be the most adequate translation. Servant is more adequate, and so the son, the oldest son of the founder of the Bahá'í Faith, Baha'u'llah, referred to himself as Abd al-Baha. Abd al-Baha is servant of Baha, servant of his father, the greatest name. Baha is light, glory, or splendor. Now, none of us can achieve to the level or station of Abdul-Baha, but Abdul-Baha is our exemplar. That is the level that we aspire to achieve. We can't actually reach it fully. We are not Abdul-Baha. Abdul-Baha was, from a Baha'i perspective, a perfect man. We are not perfect. We are progressing, but not perfect. But he is a being that we can look toward and say, that is what I would like to be. We have no way, really, of emulating the prophets of God, except in a very vague sense. Abdul-Baha was a man. He was a human being. He was not a prophet. He didn't have a station like a prophet. He was a man who was made perfect by Baha'u'llah. So we have the ability to look up to him, almost in a sense like an older brother, perhaps, and try to mirror or reflect his virtues or attributes. Below servitude is the hereafter. The hereafter, referring to the world of life after death, the life to come, the next world. These are many, many conditions, not just one. They're worlds within worlds, conditions within conditions, planes within planes. There is no way that we can have the ability, while living in this world, to imagine what that realm or those conditions are going to be like. We've been given some hints, some inklings. We've been told that if we really knew what the next world was like, we would all anxiously want to get there right now, which is not a good idea. We are here for a purpose. There is a reason to be in this world. This is a preparatory world. Now, that does not mean that people who have not gone through it, maybe people who were aborted, people who were miscarried, are completely without any hope. No, of course not. They are at the mercy of God, and God will assist them and help them. But that does not mean that we cannot benefit from being in this world. And so there's no rush to get there. We will be there soon enough. That is where we will spend our eternities. Here is a very limited time, and unfortunately many people attach a great deal of importance to this world, and this world is really just a shadow. It really has almost no importance at all, except in a very, very superficial way. The best way, I think, to live one's life in this world is by keeping one's heart in the next world, to focus on why one is here. We are here to develop virtues. Virtues will be the stuff that we will be made of in the next world. We are attributes. We are made up of the attributes of the unity of humanity, which are called the human spirit. or the rational soul, or the rational faculty. We can also here acquire the virtues of the spirit of faith, which is the higher nature. And it is those attributes which will be of benefit to us when we leave behind this earthly world and enter the realm of eternity. Depending upon our level of development, will basically determine what kind of service I think we will be doing. Although we will have the ability to interact with everyone, I think, Baha'u'llah says that we will meet people that we knew here, we will freely converse with them, in his words, in English translation, but that does not mean that we will be on the same station. In this world, the spiritual station of someone is not obvious to most people. Most people focus on outer station, on the amount of wealth that a person has, on how a person dresses, on a person's physical appearance. In the next world, those things won't matter. What will matter will be the extent to which that person has acquired the attributes of the spirit of faith, of the higher nature, or in other words, of the kingdom of God, of angelhood. Now, below that, you see a condition right in the middle between hereafter and virtues that is called this world. That is to indicate that we are now making a transition to this world, but we are still remaining under angelhood. So we're not leaving angelhood, but this is, in a sense, talking about angelhood as it appears to us or can appear to us here. This is the spiritual kingdom in this world. When Christ said, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," that is the kingdom, the spiritual kingdom, the spiritual plane that we can have here. Outwardly, that spiritual kingdom will gradually become expressed or manifested as the world order of Baha'u'llah, as a new world order, a condition of unity, of love, or, using Roy Baskar's term, co-presence, where literally we will be present with other people. The demi-reality or disunity which so characterizes the present world order will simply be gone, and we will be living in a state of wonderful bliss, hopefully. It's hard to imagine that. I doubt any of us will live to see that day. But our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, or perhaps many generations further down, will benefit from it. So it is useful for us to help in developing it. Not only will we be preparing a condition for the people who will live long after us, but we will be preparing for our own life in the world beyond. We will be contributing what we should be contributing here, which is a life of service. Okay, so virtues. That is what we are. If we are not made of virtues, then we are dead. Virtues are the attributes of angelhood in this world. And that is what we need to acquire. That is why we are here. Abdu'l-Baha said, "The divinity of God, which is the sum of all perfections, reflects itself in the reality of man." It is that divinity of God reflected in us. That is what we need to acquire. The attributes are there. They are a part of this shared higher nature that we all have. It's not an individual nature, to my understanding. It's a shared higher nature, or a shared spirit of faith. And we have the ability to acquire those attributes from that shared spirit of faith, or shared higher nature. When we acquire them, we gradually become perfected. Not perfect. We're ordinary humans, but gradually perfected. Below virtues, humanity. Humanity is us here. It's who we are. It's us as rational beings. It is the condition of the rational faculty that everything that we do in this world is connected to. It is a collective of human beings who are interacting with each other in this world, some of whom may be in search after divine virtues, and some of whom may be living in a state of imperfection or disunity. But it's all of us. We are all here in the same boat, and we know what we are here for. We are here to acquire virtues, ideally. But if not, we're here anyway. Even people without any virtues at all are living in this world. Humanity includes various attributes such as thinking, such as free will, but it also includes lower qualities, which we'll get to in a bit, including sensory, growing, and cohesive qualities. Now, within humanity are several levels, as you can see here. At the top is human religion. Human religion is when we accept the religion of God, the religion of God that is revealed by a prophet. That's something as a part of the unity of religions in that level of virtues. When we accept that collectively, then gradually a human religion is started. So, for example, Christ and the wonderful, beautiful Apostle Paul started the religion of Christianity. But Christianity today is not precisely that, necessarily. It's very divided, and even where it's not divided, whether it exactly mirrors the teachings of Christ and the teachings of Paul is, I think, somewhat doubtful in many cases. The same thing is true with other religions: Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism. These are human religions. They are the institutionalized form of religions as they are revealed. So when a religion is accepted, institutionalized, or established, then it becomes a human religion. Disunity. Well, we look around the world today. Unfortunately, that is what we see. We see a lot more disunity than unity. Disunity is the state of what Bhaskar calls demi-reality. It is a condition of opposition to reality, or opposition to angelhood. It is the antithesis of living in the spiritual kingdom, or living in angelhood. When one fails to do that, then one is in a condition of disunity. At the highest level, disunity is being disunited from God, or believing in multiple gods, or perhaps believing that oneself can be a partner with God, which is expressed through the Arabic word shirk, or partnership. Any of those things is a type of disunity, but on a more practical, common level. Of course, we use the word disunity to refer to the relations between human beings. And certainly our world today is extraordinarily disunified. I can't imagine anybody questioning that. The crises all over the world. Everywhere you look, there's crisis. Countries threatening other countries. Countries frightened about earth changes. The tremendous fear, the pre-positioning of various military forces, I think, to get whatever is left, the spoils of the world after the changes that take place in the world. It's just very, very stark. We live in a world where people are not looking out for each other, they're looking out for themselves. The rise of the gun culture, people focused on their families or on themselves, on protecting their own stuff, their own food, their own shelter, keeping other people from getting it, getting buried in the ground, shelters, people who have purchased these extensive shelters in various parts of the world, in the United States in particular, in the Rocky Mountains, and also in certain parts of Missouri and Arkansas in the Ozarks area. People are simply protecting themselves, or thinking that they're protecting themselves from these coming earth changes, but really all that is disunity. Ultimately, in the event of any crises, any earth changes, and the wars which may result from those things, the role that we should have, the spirit that I think we should have, is not disunity but servitude. The question we should ask is not how can I protect myself, but how can I be of service to other people? How can I look after my fellow women and men on this planet? That's the appropriate question, I think. Unfortunately, that's not the question most people these days seem to be asking. People are simply afraid. Fear is understandable, but it's also paralyzing and it's non-productive. But unfortunately, that's where the world seems to be right now. It's the condition of imperfection. Next is physicality. Physicality is stuff. It's what is around us. It's bodies. It's vegetables and fruits. It's gems and minerals. It's the material or physical stuff of existence. And each of these levels of physicality here have certain characteristics, and we as human beings, in other words, in the condition of our humanity, we also have these levels of physicality incorporated into us, and that is why I put physicality under humanity, because we are fundamentally here physical beings. In addition to having the ability to acquire spiritual qualities, we are physical. So we are animals on a physical level. Now, we don't have to remain purely animalistic, but on a physical level, certainly we are animals. So, on the animal level, the animal condition is sensation, sensory attributes, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, so forth. Sensory attributes, the ability to recognize things in our environment and to respond. Fight and flight. Those are all animalistic characteristics. Those are how animals respond, and how many people respond as well through that same condition of fight and flight, unfortunately. Below that is the vegetable kingdom, or vegetables. Each vegetable, as I wrote here, is composed of growing and cohesive qualities. The growing qualities are the ability to increase in size, and obviously we as human beings have that ability too. We increase in size. Animals do as well, but that is a vegetable quality, a vegetable attribute that we have in effect inherited. As the human being progresses through the different conditions of existence, we acquire the attributes of these different levels, of these lower kingdoms of existence: animal, vegetable, and mineral. Below the vegetable is the mineral kingdom. Being a mineral is being cohesive. So the mineral kingdom is cohesiveness. It is connectedness. Obviously we have that too. But that's not all we are. If all we are focused on is making sure that our body holds together, then we are not really progressing very much. So just focusing on cohesion is fine for a ruby, but it's not fine for a human being. It's also not fine for a vegetable. If vegetables only focus on cohesion, if they had the ability to focus, presumably, they would not grow. So what is appropriate on one level is not necessarily appropriate on the level above it. Hopefully that was somewhat explanatory. Until next time, this is Dr. Mark Foster. Have a good one.